selling the airspace above your unit, above your house, it does happen. We're going to tell you more about it. Stay tuned.
Always jam to that track every morning.
The what?
Always jam to that track. I love it. I love it.
It's a good track. I don't know how we landed that, but we landed it well. If I do say so, good you.
I'm actually really good. I think I told you before we jumped on. A lot of good vibes for today, and I think it started off. You get to watch the sunrise by DY Beach. You get to see a fat, full-blown rainbow in the sky, and I think it says to you, it's going to be a sick day. So,
going to be a good day. We've got a couple off today in Queenscliff.
That's right. That's right. Super keen. I think it's going to be a great turnout. Jessica and I and yourself are all excited. So we'll keep that energy. Even right till the end. So let's see how we go.
Giddy up. So selling airspace above your unit or above your house, when there's allowance to go vertical, big money.
Absolutely. And I think that's what a lot of people don't see is the potential. Because you more or less think to yourself, that's the building, that's it. Obviously, so many years continue to go by and you're just like, well, what's next? What's the next best thing that we can do? And a lot of the time I feel that because it's not explored, a lot of potential growth and you get a lot of, for instance, owners and investors think, there's no more money to be made. What can we explore? What can we do? So I think let's dabble into it this morning and check it out.
Yep. Now, generally, this will be in high-value areas, so, Bondi Beach, CBD of Sydney, Parramatta, they're areas that have really good height allowances that have been approved in the area. But the buildings are just donkey old, small, and people are sort of wondering about a little bit. Even with commercial, I was at a property, a commercial property yesterday that was on the biggest block of land, but there's only about 20 of them on there, warehouses. And it's like, dude, you can go on top here.
Yeah. And it's when you start looking into it a bit more, you're like, all right, it may be an old site, maybe an old couple buildings, but if a number of people come together, all owners, or if it's the one, for example, you come together and you start to formulate an idea. And of course, your zoning based on wherever your property is located will really determine as far as how high you can go. So that's such a crucial factor when exploring all of this. But most of the time, you've really not maximized the height clearance. A lot of the time, too, I think it's with these older buildings. There's so much time. There's a lot of maintenance to be had. There's not a lot of money being made from it as it sits. So an investor or a developer can come along and really enrich that building again, really put some money in the pocket for these owners and spark up a whole new build altogether.
Now, it does depend on the zoning. So I'm going to give you a small scale example. We have seen it. There are places, and it's sort of where real estate's expensive is where people are going to pay more of a premium to go on top. But say it's a 3-story building and it's in a 4-story area, there is the ability to put like another apartment on top potentially. You've got your development control plan in your area, and sometimes that will limit or allow what you can do. But often you'll see a really old building and then you'll see a cool building on top of it. So you'll see like a really old building and then you may see like a penthouse that's done out of charcoal, and the building's a historic building, but the penthouse is done out of charcoal. I think Cafe Sydney, which is Customs House, which is a historic building. Customs House, it's a heritage building, but then what they allowed, couldn't see it from the street, was another story to go on, and you put the coolest cafe in there. So there's really, if people have got their mind open to it, you can really do some wicked stuff.
Absolutely. But speaking of heritage buildings, look, a lot of the time, I mean, those heritage sites are in zoning where, you know, you've got so much opportunity to go up. But again, because it's heritage, it's forbidden. You can't. So the interesting is these developers, these investors actually purchase the airspace from those heritage sites to put in other locations. And, you know, we're talking in real deep urban sites, you know, where there's a lot of potential growth. There's a lot of buildings already there, but it's really cool that can actually happen, where you can transfer what can't be used in one site and be used in another.
So I guess to clear up exactly what you said about transferring, we've got a property that we've got for sale in Erskine Street in the city.
That's right. Yeah.
And for instance, because it's a heritage site and it's got a really small footprint, as an example, you've got to have parking. So just because you can go 5 or 10 stories on top, if you can't supply parking to those 5 or 10 stories, then you're restricted. Potentially can't do the development. So this property in Erskine Street, I think maybe 8. They're almost like semis or townhouses, but there's a 60 meter. How high is the next door? The height limit there, 60 meters.
About 60 meters, yes. It's pretty high. Like the building next door definitely is made the most of it, I'd say. So when you're looking at all the terraces there, definitely maximise on that.
Okay, so in that circumstance there, you'd leave it alone. You'd leave the heritage building alone. You'd probably bury under it and put and then you'd build on top of it another sort of 45, 50 metres of buildings above it, and then the adjoining building would supply the driveway and would supply the access way to the car park and the access way to the apartments. So there's potential there where a lot of people would look at that site and go, look, that's never going to be developed. You're never going to be able to get parking in on that corner. You're never going to be able to get, because it's heritage, it's going to be hard. It's going to be a hard one to work with, but there's workable solutions that you can come up with. Whether it's small unit blocks, whether it's big unit blocks. An example of Cafe Sydney there's commercial where people have done it. I think as cities get denser, people get a bit cleverer. But I do have to say car parking often brings people undone. Good morning, Sasha. Good morning, Luke.
Good morning. What I'd actually seen, and I wanted to pick your brain at as well. I mean, you know, between residential and commercial, because this blends between both areas. I actually seen that there was a couple, you know, had a wicked property next door to them, you know, had potential height clearance to go so much higher. They actually purchased the air rights from them so they wouldn't obstruct their view. So it's not even a matter of utilizing it for any means other than the fact of stopping them from obstructing the view. Have you ever heard of such a thing? Is this a common thing?
Yep, happens a lot. The interesting thing is these covenants that were over, easements, covenants, whatever you want to call them, that were over the adjoining properties, lasted, some of them from generations and like 30, 40, 50 years back. So they would say, look, I know you're a single-storey house and you're on the water, and we're a 2-storey house and we're one back from the water, but we would like to pay for the privilege of you not being able to build another story on your block, which then means the 2-storey house would always retain its view. That does happen, and it's happened in the 1950s, 70s, 80s. People have done that. The interesting thing is I've seen some of these overturned in court as the generations have rolled on and the property ownership's changed. I've seen on the occasional one they've been successful in challenging it and beating that covenant or easement over that potential second story of the adjoining property.
Interesting. Now, speaking of buying airspace, though, do you think it'll potentially be the next trend as far as real estate's concerned? Do we see this picking up a little bit more as time goes on?
I think so. I think with the property of the value that where real estate is in some areas of CBDs, it really is. And also councils trying to promote higher density in some areas. They like the higher densities in some areas because it's less infrastructure they have to supply. So it's easier to make put another train on, put another bus on, make the hospital a little bit bigger and make the school a little bit bigger, it's actually much cheaper to do that as a city than it is to add another hospital, add another school, and add a whole transport system and highway system. So that's sort of what they call infill. I remember it was very big in the G20 many years ago. That infill, they were saying, rather than developing in a corkscrew, like a corkscrew going outwards and outwards.
Yeah.
If you could imagine the CBD of Sydney as the corkscrew, each time you add another rung on the outside of the corkscrew, that's another 15 hospitals, another 15 schools, and it actually chokes the core of the city by doing that, because everyone tries to get in. So they really try to promote, rather than that, they really try to promote infill, and then they chose to hammer CBD locations like Parramatta CBD, Chatswood CBD, Sydney CBD, because they had that infrastructure already in place.
Yeah. I feel like that's a Sensei Saturday. I didn't even start by saying it this morning, but you Mark Novak, you definitely do it. I love it. Yeah. It's a Sensei Saturday. Well, look,
Saturday. It's interesting stuff. And it's stuff, Nate, that we just drive past all the time. We don't really think about. You just assume, or sometimes you may until someone mentions, you're like, shit, I've actually noticed that. And that's potential. And you may be sitting on that property that has that potential. So it could be foreign to you, but a big money maker.
Excellent. Absolutely. And look, guys, I've actually put links in the description box below as well that will show basically different sites, as well as Buy Airspace, an incredible company that actually so heartily works on stuff like this, and really supporting, single owners, strata buildings, etc., developers that really want to explore potential, and essentially even give a lift to something that could have been forgotten for so many years. But Mark, thank you for joining me as always. And a friendly reminder again to the incredible auction that we've got going on today, 2080 Crown Road, Queenscliff. We'd love to see people join. We're excited.
I can't wait to see Vic LaRusso, best auctioneer in Australia, in action.
Unbelievable. Thank you.
See you, buddy. See you, everyone. See ya.